Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live here on YouTube, brought to you by us, the folks at Nerd Caliber. I am Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber. I am first-person shooter as a cosplay photographer on Facebook, Burly Adopter as a tech writer on Twitter, and a couple other things, a couple other places. And we've all got our identities. Joining me tonight is the man celebrating Aladdin, apparently. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, friends. It's your boy Byron D0. I am a contributing writer for Nerd Caliber. I review various things on the site. I'm a part-time Twitch streamer, and I also have my own little podcast called the Weeb Trash Can Podcast. We talk about anime and a bunch of other stuff involving anime culture. We're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, and now we are on Spotify and SoundCloud.
Woohoo!
So check us out. SoundCloud is not as frequent because I haven't paid for the premium package yet.
Well, we know how that goes.
Oh, yes.
And if you can't tell by the name Weeb Trash Can Podcast, it definitely is anime focused.
Absolutely.
So, we have a fairly short subject list tonight, so we're probably going to get through this pretty quickly. But we're going to start off with that picture that just popped up on your screen right there is Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag from the original Suicide Squad movie with, of course, the original Deadshot, Will Smith. And the news is that Joel Kinnaman will be returning to James Gunn's Suicide Squad sequel, requel. What do you call it?
I have no idea at this point.
It's definitely not a direct sequel to the other movie. It's definitely not a complete reboot because it's got returning cast members. I don't know what we call this thing. Anyway, Joel Kinnaman is coming back as Rick Flag. Of course, the other person in this shot is not coming back. Will Smith will not be Deadshot. That was supposedly Idris Elba. Then he has been reported to be playing a different character. So we'll see how that goes. I thought that Kinnaman, who I really liked in the Amazon series, the Cyberpunk series. I can't believe it just completely slipped my mind. I was just looking at it. Anyway, I thought he was very good in that series, which will come up to my brain at some point. And I'm not a big fan of him in Hannah, the other Amazon series that he's in.
Oh, he's in Hannah?
Yeah, he plays the mentor character that Eric Bana played in the movie.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Wow. That seems like a step down in quality.
Yeah, it's in acting quality for sure. Although Kinnaman, being some sort of Northern European type, can pull the accent off better. And Enriqueta, welcome. Jake, welcome. We were just discussing. Go ahead.
As long as it's better than his performance in RoboCop. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm sure everything is. Mr. Foxy, hello. We're discussing the fact that Joel Kinnaman there is returning to James Gunn's upcoming Suicide Squad movie as Rick Flag. So it's weird that it has some returning characters, or returning actors to character roles, including Margot Robbie.
Who else can play Harley at this point?
Well, it's true. And Kinnaman as Rick Flag. But it's not a sequel, according to James Gunn. It's kind of a restart. Jake, how's Freddy? Actually, you know what? Bonnie has always been the one that we've used. So how's Bonnie? Bonnie, fingers crossed, will be coming back sometime this summer. So, but. So there's the news there. Kinnaman is back as Rick Flag, and honestly, I thought he was kind of... There were a couple of people that were miscast in that movie. It's not as bad as Cara Delevingne, or however you pronounce her name.
Little Miss Eyebrows.
Miss Eyebrows. who will be appearing in this newscast later on. Um, but he was definitely not the best choice that you could think of, or I could think of, for Rick Flag. Um, so there you go. Gunn won't even
I
begin doing this movie until he's done with. No, actually, Gunn won't begin doing his Guardians 3 until he's done with this. So he's deep into this one.
mm, I will say that I'm a little disappointed at this casting choice simply because I thought that the rumors about John Cena were going to be true. I really think that John Cena would have been a better choice for Sergeant Flag.
Yeah, I think a Colonel Flag.
Oh, Colonel Flag. Wow,
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
bad at
boy,
this.
did you demote that sucker. Come on, man. Um, yeah, I think Cena would have been great. Cena would have actually been an appropriate character. I see what they were doing with making Flag's relationship with the Enchantress as this sort of tragic love story, and they wanted to, in theory, go with some guy who could do tragic. Eh, it was mostly just dumb.
Then they played, and yeah, they played it safe in the end, which was really annoying.
Um, yeah, yeah. Jake, yes, they are making another Dark Crystal series, short series. We'll be getting into that too.
Hmm.
Nahuel, welcome. What happened to the eye patch? Last time I saw you, you had an eye patch. I don't recall having an eye patch. I might have. But anyway,
Maybe it was your evil twin.
there we go. Or maybe he's talking to somebody else. That could be.
Okay.
Moving on to our next subject, and this is right up Byron's alley.
Oh yes.
So that is a screenshot for the upcoming game Digimon Survive, the recently, a game where a lot of details just recently got dropped about what it's going to be like, and it is the next game in the Digimon franchise. And despite the name, it is not an open world sandbox survival game like Conan. What is it, Byron? Since this is your baby.
It is a strategic RPG with survival elements. There's been a lot of talk about this, like in various Digimon communities. Um, it's being paid for the 20th anniversary of the Digimon franchise, but for a while, for the latter half of 2018 and most and early 2019, there's been nothing but radio silence from Namco Bandai. So the fact that they just do like this huge content drop so close to E3, that it kind of shows you what they were up to.
Now, do you think we're going to get more details on this at E3? I would assume that makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, or it could just be a rehash of this. Either way, it's a lot of content, and we have a tentative date. It's going to be this year. It looks interesting. I've enjoyed most of the Digimon games. I have Digimon World Next Order. It's fun, but I prefer my Digimon games to be more RPG than basically a console version of the digital pet that you have that the other Digimon World games have been. So
Now,
this should be fun.
now, do you have? They mentioned that the last one was this thing called Digimon Cyber Sleuth. Do you have that, or I guess that's
I
a
have,
PlayStation exclusive, right?
I believe so, and I do have that.
Okay.
That one plays a lot like Persona. So it's interesting how they're trying so many different types of gameplay within the Digimon franchise with these latest video games. Like you have your Return to Form with Next Order, and you have Cyber Sleuth, which has a type of gameplay similar to the Persona games, where you have like your human character and you have your familiars or Digimon, yeah, your Digimon familiars in this case, and now you have something akin to Final Fantasy Tactics.
Now, according to the video here, this is going to apparently be PlayStation, Xbox One, and Steam right out of the gate, um, and Switch, Nintendo Switch. So
Actually, get it for Switch.
this would be good. You can get this on every platform, and yeah, it does say they kind of indicate that it will be this year because this is the 20th anniversary of the Digimon anime. So
If I had to guess, they would probably want to have it close to the time of this next movie that's supposed to be coming out.
cool. I didn't know there was another movie coming out.
Oh yeah, it's after Adventure Try. It's when they're all college age or they're starting their careers.
Yep, I did see that. The idea that they're now essentially adults, which kind of was shocking for somebody who I never watched it, but looking back in the late '90s at the Digimon, anime, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess it would make sense that they're all adults now.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so cool. Look, if you're a fan of Digimon or Digimon type games, or the sort of strategy slash action slash RPG, check it out. Keep an eye out for it. Probably more info at E3 when that comes up.
He's open.
Moving on to our next topic. That right there, folks, is they are the New Gods. If you're not familiar with DC's New Gods from back in the 70s. And the news is the New Gods movie that was announced a while ago, which is going to be directed by Anna DuVernay. I'm probably mispronouncing her last name.
For those of you who don't know, she did Wrinkle in Time.
That is correct. And which I haven't seen yet, and I really want to.
Same.
The new Netflix series or movie, but it's like 3 documentaries, right? About the Central Park 5.
All right. Yes.
Yeah, and I really want to see that. It's getting fantastic reviews. There are people saying it's essentially the 2000s version of Roots. Like it's that important and excellent.
Oh, snap.
But the news is that Batman writer Tom King, or soon to be exiting Batman writer Tom King, is going to be writing the script for this. His run on the Rebirth version of Batman, which is what he's been doing, was critically mostly well regarded, and because of some of the things he was doing with Batman and the Batman storyline, kind of controversial with a lot of the fans. So it'd be interesting to see where he takes this story. The New Gods, in case you can't tell from the look of them, they are associated with, but sort of enemies of, Darkseid.
Yes.
Orion is in fact Darkseid's son. Orion's the guy in red in the middle, in his squatty potty chair or whatever the heck that thing is that he's flying
it was
on.
like I thought it was called. I thought they said it was a sled.
It is a sled. Yeah, they call it his sled. It's what he flies around in. But the stance. I can't imagine holding that stance in a sled for a whole long time when you're flying through the cosmos. That would be painful. So.
This a Berlanti project or?
No, it is a movie.
Oh right.
So it is straight up Warner Brothers DC. It looks like it could be really impressive with those 2 people associated with it. We don't know how far they've gotten into any sort of talk about casting. I haven't seen anything about that. It would be great to have them land like Marvel did with the Eternals, land somebody really impressive like they got Angelina Jolie. It would be nice to see DC nab some big name to tag onto their cosmic family gods thing, which is essentially what New Gods is.
I'm just hoping that they make Darkseid a big focus for the storyline.
Yeah. I think that would be great because they need to introduce him somewhere. But I'm not really sure if this is going to be the story. I mean, they would kind of have to if they're going to keep the background of Orion and some of the other people.
Oh yeah.
going to be tough to have Orion and Granny Goodness and Big Barda and so on without having Darkseid.
Oh yes. Although now I'm just getting visions of Ed Asner reprising the role from Superman the animated series.
As Granny Goodness, yeah.
Yes.
That was one of the
That-
best castings, voice castings ever done.
yes.
Once again, a sign that just DC kills it with their animated stuff, whether it's their TV series or their movies.
Yes.
Oh, oh, that was fantastic.
Mwah.
Anyway, we don't know when this is going to happen. Like I said, it's really early in. I'm guessing we're talking about at least a 2021 premiere time, if not 2022. But I'm looking forward to where they go with this. And bringing Tom King on, it's a good sign.
The man knows what he's doing.
Uh,
And the director, she definitely got a great eye for visuals, which with the mythos like that of the new gods, you need like those stunning visuals. You need something on par with what James Gunn did with Guardians of the Galaxy,
yeah,
and I think she's more than up to the task.
I think so too. I think um, as much as I had problems with the general story structure and some of the other things of Wrinkle in Time, the movie, I do think she's definitely up to the task of handling the feel and the tone of something like this. Moving on to our next topic, and here's where we come back to Kara Delvin ring a ling a ding a ding.
Eyebrow McOuse, eyebrow steam.
Yes, Kara eyebrow ving. The image that just popped up here is from a apparently ready to go in the can Amazon Prime fantasy series that's going to debut late August that I've heard literally zero about until I saw this release. Jake, the only reason, just to let you know, the only reason I hid Nahuel is that the messages that were coming through weren't offensive. They were just tying up the chat, and I was having a hard time
Yeah,
seeing any questions that might come through. So
yeah, I blocked them.
you didn't upset anyone. So we're good. Or if you did, we won't know because they're hidden. Anyway, this series is called Carnival Row. And as far as I can tell, based on what I've read, it's an original IP that stars Cara Delevingne and Orlando Bloom. That's Orlando Bloom in The Boiler.
Wow.
Bowler, not Boiler. That would be funny. It's a script that apparently was written by this Travis Beecham. As the article says, has been floating around since 2005. Guillermo del Toro picked it up initially, and then it got handed off to Beecham. Will be the executive producer, who's also writing it along with a couple of other people. It is a Victorian fantasy world in which mythical creatures have fled from their war-torn countries and ended up in Carnival Row, the grimiest section of an unspecified city, but which is clearly sort of Victorian London. Mysterious murders threaten the inhabitants of the Row, and tensions between the fantasy beings and the regular humans flare up. Cara Delevingne stars as refugee fairy Vignette Stonemoss, and Orlando Bloom is
Those
human
are her
detective. Yes, those are her wings. Orlando Bloom is human detective Rycroft Philostrate.
wings. I love that name.
The names are awesome. The names are almost too Victorian fantasy. It sounds like characters right out of a LARP, frankly, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Nope.
But I think it's kind of odd to see Orlando Bloom come back into our presence like this. I don't know where he's been or what he's been doing for years. I suppose I could go to IMDb and find out, but he certainly hasn't been in anything that's landed in front of my eyes.
He's probably more behind the scenes. We don't know.
Could have been taking time off for doing something else. We all know Cara Delevingne was in City of a Thousand Planets, the horrible latest effort by Luc Besson. which was pitched as the thematic and spiritual successor to the Fifth Element, and was nothing of the sort. I gotta say though, I like this look on her. Her natural hair color, I'm guessing, matches the her eyebrows. She Well, yeah, I mean, she's been a blonde in the last two. Well, no, she was dark haired in the Enchantress as the Enchantress, right? And Junie Moon.
Yeah.
She had brown hair, light brown hair as Junie Moon. Mustafa, welcome, salam. I don't know where you are, if you are in it yet, but if you are, happy Eid. From what I understand, and I know so little about this, some places celebrate it starting today, some places celebrate it starting tomorrow. So.
I think in the States they started today.
That's what yeah, I think that's the case too, but my calendar here, which came from the States, says it starts tomorrow.
All right, well, salam.
Exactly. So anyway, this series, August 30th, coming up on Amazon Prime. If you got Prime, go for it. It looks interesting. Sounds like an interesting world build, which I really like. I just hope that it comes across better than other things that poor Kara has been in. Let's put it that way.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Maybe she just needs the right vehicle or the right person to act against. And Joel Kinnaman from Suicide Squad and Dane DeHaan from City of a Thousand Planets clearly weren't the right people. All right, moving on to our next topic. Here's a movie where you don't have to worry about whether or not people look right because they're all puppets. This is the Dark Crystal. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago when the date was announced, which is also August 30th. So you get a couple of series that you're going to have to be able to pay attention to there. Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance. Age of Resistance? Age of what? Age of Resistance. The reason we've got it back up here is that the trailer for it dropped after we did our last show, and it looks gorgeous. You can see by that image that's up there. I mean, you can tell that they're Muppets or puppets, but the rest of the practical effects around them, they're just absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
A lot less of the the bouncy sort of look like from the Muppet Show. A lot more Yoda-esque.
Nice.
So if you're all a fan of that, if you're all a fan of fantasy, check it out. Check out the trailer. It's on YouTube now. The article that we have, it was Vanity Fair of all things.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's, well, A, either Vanity Fair is looking for a younger audience, or B, it's because of the Children's Television Workshop, Jim Henson Productions connection to it, New York City, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes. All I have to say about this is a Muppet flail. Yay!
There you go. Hopefully there will not be any Muppet flailing, because that would really take you out of this high fantasy world. For all the bouncing around of the original movie, it was still a beautifully done and very evocative high fantasy world. Mustafa is in Lyon. So again, that doesn't tell me whether or not Eid is celebrated today, starting today or starting tomorrow. But either way, welcome from Lyon. And I won't even bother trying French, Mustafa, because I took German in college and then dropped out of that. So that's my limit of languages. And a lot of Spanish swearing that I picked up while I was working with a bunch of really wonderful Dominican guys. Moving on to our next chapter. Last thing, Dark Crystal, like I said, August 30th, Amazon Prime. Check it out. Short series, like 6 episodes, like Good Omens was. And if you haven't seen Good Omens, watch it. It's really cool. Very, very British. Obviously. Um, Next topic is this news dropped, and I kind of went, well, as I said to a bunch of people, they might as well just not make this thing. They might as well just start printing money. Netflix is going to be doing an animated series with Hasbro
Oh my
based
god.
on the Magic the Gathering universe and world that is being executive produced by the Russo brothers. Avengers Endgame, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The only thing that could keep this from just literally being bucket loads of cash being thrown at Netflix is the fact that apparently it is going to be all new characters. It's going to be dealing with planeswalkers, but they're not going to be incorporating, as the main characters anyway, any of the existing planeswalkers in the Magic the Gathering universe, which means they're not going to be doing any of the stories from the 70-something books that have been written about the planeswalkers and other aspects of the Magic the Gathering universe.
Well, that's a lot of lore to try to digest, isn't it?
It's a crap ton of lore to try to digest, and I think it makes sense for them to try to, as they say, expand on that, i.e., new characters, new stories, but be able to use it as sort of the backdrop for your new lore. That makes a lot of sense rather than trying to adapt like. And then I don't know any of these characters.
Same.
Then, you know, big tiger dude went and healed everybody because I know he's a healer. That I know.
More than what I knew.
And in the battle of whatever after the demon whatever, that may be a story arc somewhere in one of the books. Trying to adapt that in a way that's going to keep people satisfied is going to be problematic. Writing all sorts of new stuff makes a lot of sense, I think.
So my reaction to this, trying to shove my wallet into the screen because
I mean, Netflix has killed it with some of these things. You know, Castlevania has been fantastic. Doing an excellent job with that adaptation. Dragon Prince, okay. I'm not a huge fan. It's doing well for them, but I'm not a monster fan of that. But as I say here, Magic the Gathering has an estimated 38 million fans playing the game in 11 languages and 70 countries. So yeah, this is a really good IP win for Netflix. That's amazing.
Big.
No word, as far as I can tell, on when they're going to have this out for us to watch. Interesting. Jose Molina, who is one of the lead writers for The Tick, is going to be the lead writer, a co-lead writer for this, along with Henry Gilroy from Star Wars Rebels. Wow. Yuriaki Mochizuki would be the supervising director and co-executive producer.
Okay, so they're going for more of an anime aesthetic.
Possibly. So Octopi is actually going to be the animation studio, and I don't know what Octopi has done.
To Google.
To Google, they say our goal. Where's this? The animation ambitions for the series are lofty ones, is what the CEO of Octopi said. Jake, at least the two of us that are currently on the screen right now definitely like anime. Can't speak for anybody else. Oh, Addison, welcome to the show. Didn't see you pop in there. This is called an animation, but it is being overseen at Netflix by the head of anime programming for Netflix. So, if it quacks like a duck,
Yep.
it's a duck. Yeah. So again, don't know when this is going to land on your Netflix screens, but they got a
Yeah.
great crew, good people that they picked for it, and my God, you know, if you are going to nail down some intellectual property to create something in a fantasy realm, Game of Thrones, obviously somebody's, Game of Thrones is taken. The Lord of the Rings stuff,
Yeah.
sort of, Magic the Gathering is
Up
one
for
of the
grabs.
biggest. Yep. Um, and that's that,
I,
folks. Oh, did you
yeah.
find anything about Opie?
Um,
Orpie?
I haven't found anything about their content, but they seem to have a very irreverent sense of humor. So I'm willing to give them a go. If anything, it will definitely entertaining.
Let's see if I get anything. Did you mean Oprah? No, I didn't mean Oprah.
Octop
Um,
it's octopi actually. It's like
oh, that's right. It's
because
Octopi. Yeah, I misspelled it.
it's like yeah, OCTO pie.
Right. It
It's
might
a
be.
picture.
Actually, it is probably pronounced octopi. Now that I think about it.
Yes.
Um, they apparently make games.
Okay. Yep. It looks like yeah, and yeah, because they've got like a couple of like random animations on their Facebook.
That's really interesting. A game developer. Now apparently they've made a SpongeBob game and Llama Spit. Um, anyway, uh, so yeah, this will be interesting to see. Hopefully, they won't look like SpongeBob, and they'll look a little bit more heroic. Um, with all of the artwork, all the very, very heroic high fantasy artwork that's available out there for the Planeswalkers, not just on the cards but in other stuff, it would be a real shame if they didn't tap into that look and design of a lot of these characters. Redesigning them to be like stupidly easy to animate is going to be a mistake in my mind.
Yeah.
But fingers crossed they pull it off. Big names. All right, Jake, we're about to wrap up the show. Hit us with a Dark Crystal. It's not spelled like Billy Crystal, but that's okay. Dark Crystal trivia, real quick. Come on, fire us off. Hit us with one. Let's go. I'm just
So much
keeping.
you got.
I'm not trying to push you this much. I'm just keeping doing this so we have actual verbiage happening during the downtime. Otherwise, we're just sitting here silently staring at a screen, waiting for you to type something. And while that might be entertaining for some people, it probably wouldn't be. I'm going to put the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance shot back up there while we give Jake one more minute. Because otherwise, we're just stretching this way too long. We could always have Byron sing, but
Oh, and river.
I'm not sure why you picked that. And there's a throw out to all those poor people who are suffering from the floods in the Midwest.
Oh
Um,
wow. Uh-huh.
yeah, I know that was pretty bad. All right, Jake. Sorry, man. You're taking too long. Everybody, thank you all for joining us for this quick Nerd Week Live. And I'm Rodney Brown, editor in chief of Nerd Caliber. And signing off for us is, if you would, sir.
Fire and D0, reminding you of the babe with the power.
Same production company, not the same
Yeah,
movie,
oh,
but
I
I
know.
get it. That was
Yep,
also a Jim Henson production.
indeed.
But thank you all for joining us. Sorry, Jake, I'm cutting you off right as you're about to do round one, and you guys can keep doing this in the chat if you want. And we will see you all next week. Bye bye.
Toodles.